Good morning. I am Diane Simmons from Cake Connection in Jackson, Michigan, and welcome. Today we are going to do piping. I'm going to go through some basic tips and show you some different borders. Honestly, I've just got a few different tips out. We're just going to kind of play. If you have requests, something you want to see, please feel free to give a shout out. We got Eric back there on the camera. He's going to be watching, and he'll let me know if there's something you guys want to see. If it's feasible, we'll do it. Before we get going too far, I want to show you today's prize giveaway. Can zoom over in here. We've got a whole bunch of tip sets we're doing. So we will get you taken care of and on your way to be piping right away. Some bag clips and a couple bags and some couplers. Alrighty. So I am going to hop over. I'm actually going to work from the other side of the table today. And I just wanted to say hi real quick before I hop over there, because you're not going to see me much anymore other than my hands moving around. Okay? Remember, give us a shout out. Let us know you're here to get entered into the prize. And also, tell us what you want to see me do. Okay? If there's something you're struggling with on piping, holler. And like I said, if it's feasible, we'll go through it. Alrighty? Okay. So I do want to, before we get going, show you, a lot of people are not familiar with how to cut a bag for a coupler. So I got a new bag. And I want to show you that real quick. So couplers are two pieces. Alright. Your base and then your little nut here that we've got. So you're going to take the base and put that down inside your bag. And you want to push that down in. I'm squeezing pretty tight to get that in as far as it'll go. Okay. You can take a pencil if you want and draw right there along the top of the threads. I'm just taking some scissors and kind of cutting it a little bit. And it actually cuts through there somewhat, you can see. Squeeze the coupler back out, so it's back down here right now, just out of my way. And then we're going to put that back in and squeeze it. Now, if you notice, it gives a little bit more. My cut was right at the top of the threads. I don't want to go lower than that because the bag is going to just naturally squeeze a little bit, give a little bit. So when you squeeze it down in, it'll go a little farther up the threads. All right? And that's what we want. You just want a couple of, like 2 or 3 lines of the threads showing up. So then when you put your tip on and screw that on there, you're all set. Okay? So there we are with putting that on. All right. And then the other thing I did, I'm sitting in my chair at the table. Honestly, I'm going to stand up at some points too, but I know a lot of people wanted to see some different side work and stuff. So for that, I try and get myself more kind of head on with the cake instead of looking down at it. So what I just took an empty box here and raised up my Lazy Susan just a little bit, just to get it on a better level with me. Honestly, I have some bucket, like my flour and sugar buckets. A lot of times I would set my cakes up on those if I wanted to stand up and work on them. So, I mean, there's lots of different things that you can do just to get it. Don't struggle, hurt your back, hurt your wrist and stuff. Adjust your cake, get it where you need it so you can comfortably work. Okay? So we've got that. For filling your bag, I want to fold it back over and then putting my hand up in there. So I've got my thumb over here, my fingers over here, just hanging on to that. Okay. And we're gonna grab our frosting. Oh, I forgot I want to put green in this one. Just a second here. I got my other bags all loaded up. I was saving the green for this one. Okay, so I'm just going to stir my frosting up real quick. And then scoop some out. And again, I'm putting my hand back up in there to hold that. Putting that frosting down in. And then I'm pinching my thumb and my first finger together, squeezing on the blade to pull all that frosting off. Turn that up. We are mess-free. Frosting in the bag. Okay. Really, this is about all you need. You just want a comfortable hand amount to squeeze. Okay. I always say no bigger than a tennis ball. And honestly, you don't even need it that big a lot of time. Okay. So, we have some bags loaded up here. I'm going to get started. I think let's just do a basic shell border. A lot of people will use a tip 21 for this. Okay, I'm going to show you that. I personally would probably never use a 21 on a cake this size. I just think it's a little big and kind of chunky looking, but now if you notice I have frosting up to there. I don't want to squeeze that much. I don't feel you have control over the bag at that point. So I'm going to chop this in half, spin that, and then I'm putting that right down between my thumb and my first finger, squeezing that, and then I'm going to squeeze it like I'm squeezing one of those stress balls or tennis ball, you know, something like that. Okay? Now, let's see. I think maybe we'll see. Scoot it over there. Okay. So yes, I am left-handed, but apparently this is the direction that most people go with right-handed. So, and I can actually pipe it this way. I don't want to. I think you can see it better if I go this way. So we're just squeezing, let that build up, and then pull out, and stop squeezing as I'm pulling down to my tip. Okay? Some pressure, and then stopping. Pressure, and then stopping. Okay? Now I'm going to swap tips here and show you this next one. This is a tip 18. I just want to show you the size difference here. And again, I'm just letting it build up. Okay, so this is a 21 back here, and this is a tip 18. Okay?
Do you want to write there? So that way they can...
All right. Now, another one that I do an awful lot of borders is a bead border. Okay? And this can be any of your round tips. Again, tip 12 is your larger one. I probably wouldn't do, maybe if I were doing a kid's cake that I wanted to look like big beads or something, if I were doing a bunch of, you know, something real bright and colorful, I might use a tip 12 to get a little bit bigger. But a cake, this is what did I grab? A 9-inch, I think. I just grabbed a styrofoam dummy and frosted it real quick this morning. So this is a tip 10. I just want to go with something just a little bit smaller. Okay. I'm going to pipe it the direction I normally would, and then I'm going to do it from the other direction too, just to make sure you can really see what I'm doing good. Okay. So with this one, a lot of people, this is what you don't want to do. A lot of people are shown to do these head on like this. Okay? I'll do a few more so you can see really good. Will you move that light back behind us a little bit? Let's see if we can get more light on this. There, I think that helped actually. Okay. There, that was a little shadowy looking, so hopefully you can see that just a little bit better now. Okay. So when you do this, if you can see in there, you've got all these little points and tips on your dots. All right. If you do it off to the side and then go back, when you pull away, that tip is basically going to be covered by your next dot. Okay? So, now hopefully you can see that here. I'm going to pipe it from the other direction. I think it'll show a little better on camera. So you want to squeeze and pipe that, but then do your next dot so that covers up those tips. All right. Any questions on that? I just think that looks so much better than having all these little peaks and points. You can, if you get these points on there, you can go back and dip your fingertip in some cornstarch or some powdered sugar after it sets up just a little bit, and you can tap those down. But if you just do it this way, you don't have to bother. Okay. Now another thing you can do, this is just a rose tip. So a tip, I think I grabbed 103. Yep. I'm going to try piping the other direction with all this just so you guys can see a little bit better. Let me think. I got to think if I can do this way. I don't know that I can do that one backwards. Sorry. Okay. So, with your rose tip, you can just literally sit here and do a zigzag. All right, let me try it this way so you can see it better. A little awkward for me, but we'll get there. Okay. So that I'm just kind of laying on the edge of my board here, and I'm just going with a back and forth motion like that. Just a zigzag and letting that pipe out as I go. Okay. And then you can come back on top of that. Actually, just a minute. I have some pink in here. We do a shell border with some pink so it'll stand out a little bit. Okay, and again, I'm just piping this the other direction just so you guys can see a little bit better on the camera. Okay, this is not the normal direction I pipe, but I just want you to be able to see it real well. Okay. And then, if you want to dress it up even a little bit more, this is a tip for, yes, a 4 with my green icing here. You can go back in there and just something quick and simple. You can add a little dot in between those. Okay, and this is very common border I used to do all the time on my sheet cakes and stuff. It just dresses it up real quick, but it coordinates. So if I'm doing flowers or something up on the top of the cake, so if I'm doing pink flowers with some green leaves, I just pull my colors down to the base of it, and it just helps coordinate everything, and it, keeps your eyes moving. It brings everything together. Okay? So there we have some different borders. I'm pulling it all together with that. Okay. Next.
How did you learn to decorate cakes and what made you start?
Oh my gosh. How did I learn to decorate cakes? Well, when I was probably, I'm going to say 13 or 14, a very good friend of my mom's, she had been decorating cakes for years and years out at the Manitou Beach area. And she had offered to show me and my sister how to do cake decorating. She was going blind, but she wanted to show us before she completely lost her sight. So she worked with us the best she could, and I enjoyed it then. And then I kind of, I dabbled around, played with it a little bit just for the family as a teenager. But then when I was, 21, 22, I think, somewhere in there. It was right after I bought my first house. I was sitting via candlelight because I couldn't afford the electricity. And was reading the newspaper one night, and there was a classified ad for cake decorating classes. And I thought, oh, that sounds fun. Let me go do that. So I went and did that, and just kind of went crazy after that. And I will say, if you're ever, if you go take a class and it doesn't click right away or something, don't be discouraged and don't just give up because you didn't get it right away. Try another teacher, and I'm sure there are people who have not meshed with what I'm showing them, and I'm okay with that. But I definitely encourage that go find somebody else and have them show you and see if what they tell you might click a little better, okay? Because you can line up 10 decorators in the room and ask them all to show you how to do something, the exact same thing, and you're probably going to see 8 to 10 different ways to do it, okay? So don't ever get discouraged and just say, oh, I can't do this and give up, all right? There's always other methods, so keep trying. I will say the first class I went into, my instructor, very first thing, after you're introducing themselves, said, is anyone in here left-handed? I raised my hand, literally looked at me and said, ugh, no. Never spoke to me the rest of the class, okay? I'm a little determined, and I said, oh, heck no, and I figured it out. But I took my book home every night, after class, and I sat there practicing, and I figured it out. So that was just that particular instructor had a fear of left-handed students. Apparently I'd had trouble with them in the past. I don't know. So just like I'm saying, don't give up, don't get discouraged, just keep practicing, and it'll come. Okay? So, another thing I want to show you is just kind of some scroll work type stuff. And this is just a flower cutter. I'm just using it for a quick outline. So, I just put a couple little indents in there. All right. And let's see. And this is just a tip 4 on the bag. Okay. And I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just piping some lines from each of them. And just putting some Just doing some little loopies here and there. Okay. But then you could come back in with your pink. Okay, I haven't tried this before. We're going to see how this looks on here. I put on a PME tip 43, which is a rope. Does that show up on the screen? Can they see it before I start piping?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, gosh, I don't even know. There's probably 15, 20 very tiny little teeth up at the end of it. Okay. And I feel like this might be kind of neat. And I'm just doing almost like a shell motion with this. Okay. I'm squeezing and just kind of letting it build up, and then I'm coming into the center. And I'm just doing that over that flower outline. Okay, using that as the guide for each of my petals. That was just a last minute thought. I kind of like that look. Something fun and different. Okay. Then you come back with your green and just put a little dot center in there. There. Kind of like that. What do you think of that? All right. Does anyone have any requests? Anything in particular you want to see that I haven't shown? Let's see. Okay. Another one. I had somebody ask for some drop string. I have to tell you, yes, I know how to do it. Yes, I could sit here and show you. Well, I'm not going to show you because I didn't put Caro syrup or anything in my icing. But I'm going to show you an alternative to actually doing the drop strings. Okay? So.
Once you're done with that, we got a couple ideas for you.
Oh, what do we have?
Some stand-up shells.
Stand-up shells?
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by stand-up shells. I don't know that I've ever heard that phrase.
I saw butterflies in there.
Butterflies.
Someone asked about roses. Brush embroidery, garland.
We did brush embroidery the other day.
Scroll work tips.
Scroll work we just did. That's some basic. I will say, a lot of times with scroll work, something I used to do if I had a very specific pattern. For example, the brides might bring me a picture of their lace pattern or something, incorporated from their dress. And if I wanted a very particular scroll that I needed to repeat, if you take the edge off of a like a aluminum foil box or something, that blade that cuts, that's very flexible, and you can bend that around. Just some different, like your paint brushes. If you have different size, even dowel rods I used to use sometimes just to get different size bends in it, so the circles were all exactly the same. But I would shape that to match that scroll pattern that I needed, and I would just use that basically as a pattern and go around the cake and mark it so everything was even and I was following the same pattern. Even if it was just to get the base, if it was like kind of a sideways S or something, if I really needed that for my kind of base to start with, and then I was going off of it, with some different scrolly stuff, I would still run around and put those little impressions in, okay? Kind of like I just did here. This is actually a cookie cutter that I just took some scissors And yes, it will ruin your scissors, but it works. But I just cut cookie cutter in half and use that to mark, to do my scroll pattern. Okay? Don't sit there and think that you've got to be super person and be able to eyeball all this stuff. Okay? Use your patterns, use your tools effectively. All right? Another thing too, I don't even have one out anymore.
Wait.
Because I don't even think I have it to get it out. There's a pattern. Wilton makes this big sheet. It's probably a 24 inch circle, I think. It's a plastic sheet. And I had a great big Lazy Susan that I glued this down to the top of. I don't even know. Oh, it might be in there by my oven. I'm not even sure if I have it anymore, to be honest, guys. But when I was doing cakes all the time, I used this thing religiously for every cake. It had divider marks on it to show, like, if I need 8 sections, it had the lines on it to break these up evenly to get 8 sections in here, okay? That way, you know, if you had 4 tiers and you needed the bottom tier and the second tier to have swags on it, you want those all lined up and you want an even number of them. Okay? You could take the dividing chart. Why don't you go out and grab one? They're hanging out there right across from the register. Eric's going to go grab one so I can at least show you the box of them. Okay? But you can use that to line up and make sure you've got even sections. Okay, they're just amazing for that. Okay, so I've got my little marks in here, all right, and I literally just follow that. Okay, if you want multiple, and this is a different size on there, but that's okay. Once you've got that first one on there, it's very easy to follow it and kind of guide yourself. Okay. But now, you just look like an amazing person who did all that very evenly, and you kept them dropping to the same spot. Okay, and then you can go back at those joins and bring in one of your other colors. Oh, okay. Here, Eric grabbed one of the charts. I'm going to shove this cake out of the way for just a second. I can show you this. Here, can you move that for me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ruin it. All right. So here are one of the cake dividing charts, okay? And I actually took mine and cut out around the edge of it, and like I said, literally glued this down to one of a great big Lazy Susan that I had. Okay? And then you set your cake out here, and right here on the edge, where you've got, like this will say, you use this one for 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, or 16 divisions. All right? If you actually want 16, then here's your next 16. Here's your next 16. Okay, so you just go around, you find the 16s. And then, just one second. Okay, I don't have all the tools, but I'll show you kind of the theory here. Go buy one of the, for quilting, sewing, it has a measuring right here on the side, all right? So you can come up here and line this up. So let me turn this where, got that edge, okay? So you would just kind of eyeball this up to your cake to get your line. And then if you've got something here with a ruler on it, if you need, this is where I was telling, if you watched the other day when I was doing some Swiss dots, where I would say I literally would line everything up. So to do that, all right, I don't have a, tip's got some frosting up, that's okay. So I would take a tip in my, just like a tip 1 or something, and I would go up here at 1 inch, at 3 inches. I would mark my first little dot. I'd go over to my next section for 16, and I'd mark at 1 inch, at 3 inch, okay? And then I would go back, because you know I need something in, at the opposites. So I would put those where I got right to the middle of it and go back. So I literally had everything very evenly marked out. Are they laughing at me?
No.
Okay. My son's behind me laughing a little bit. I thought you guys were laughing. Yes, I really am that OCD about stuff matching up and lining up. So if you want to have everything measured out exactly perfect, that's how you do it. Okay? So while I've got my little, I know they're not lined up exact, but if you wanted to do some little Swiss dots on there, I'm going to put the tip 4 back on here. This is bigger than what I normally would use for this, but just to show you, you could just do some single dots on there. Okay. You could just do something like that. Just try and guess roughly about where they should be. Okay.
Are those mats on the website?
I think they're on the website. They're called a cake dividing chart. If they're not on, I will check after I get done. And if they're not on there, I will get them on there. Okay. So again, you could do just the single dots like I had, or if you want to do the triple. Now, if you notice when I'm squeezing, you kind of see me do this motion where I squeeze and then I like chop it, okay? I'm kind of trying to basically break that tip off. So I'm doing a little bit of a swirl and chop motion there. And that's just so I don't have that point sticking out like what we had here so much, okay? And again, you can go back after they sit up. If you've got the little peaks on all those, you can go back through and just kind of tap them down with the tip of your finger with some cornstarch or powdered sugar on there. Okay. What else did they ask for? I forgot what you tell me. Oh, you want to see a rose piped. Will you go grab me a flower nail over there, please? I want no laughing. I have not piped a rose in, oh my gosh, probably 4 or 5 years, if I had to guess. But because you asked, I shall do. Why not, right? All right, so I have a tip 104, so tip 104 on here, okay? And your standard rose tip basically is like a very elongated teardrop, okay? So you've got a fat end, a skinny end. And then, I'm gonna do this in 2 different colors just so you can see. And my icing is not stiffer. I would typically have it just a little bit stiffer for roses, but that's okay. Just to show you. So this is a tip 12, just a big round tip. All right. And you're just going to pipe a little. I had one instructor tell me at one point, she said, make a nice bosom. So I sit and giggle and think of that every time I do this. You can use a Hershey Kiss for the base if you want. All right. When you do this, you're going to let the flower nail do the work. Don't sit here and try and contort yourself all around, okay? You're just going to hold, all you're going to do with this bag is just go up and down, and you're also going to move it at this angle as you go down, all right? You're going to let the flower nail do most of your work for you, and you're just going to be spinning this in between your finger and your thumb. And I'm just kind of balancing it on my pinky here just to hold it steady while I'm twisting it, okay? So this first one, all right, I'll see if I can turn it a little bit towards you here. So when you do the first layer, you almost want to go in line with the angle, okay? Hold that just a sec for me. Hang on. All right, I got too much icing in my hand to squeeze there. Okay, I just had to drop my bag down a little bit. Okay. Oh, and there comes Eric with the sneezes because his allergies again. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom, come up, circle, and back down. Okay? I tell people try and think of it as like an awareness ribbon type thing. You're going up, circle all the way around, and then come back down, crossing where you went up. And you just want a nice little tight point in there. All right, so that one we did at that angle with our mound. Our next one, we're going to go straight up and down, okay? So you could think of it as 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then we'll open up to 11 o'clock and 10 o'clock. All right? So this row, we're going straight up and down, and I'm just starting down, up, and back. Okay? And I'm just starting, cover up what I first did, and then come back down. All right? Next row, we're coming out just a little bit. And I'm just going back and covering up. Okay, and then the next row I'm going to open up a little bit more. When I say open up, I mean just pull the point out a little bit more. Okay. And this one I'm starting right at the base. Okay. And you can see my icing's a little bit on the soft side, but you can get the idea, hopefully. Okay.
In the rose spirit, could you do a rosebud?
Sure, we could do a rosebud. All right. So I don't know if I can lift this up. Well, there we go. Yeah, that spread way out. Funky dunky. Okay. Rosebud. You can do them on the flower nail, or you can do them directly on the cake. Okay, I'll show you both. So, we have our mound again. And doing our base. All right. Then, I'm just tapping that against my finger and letting it fall over. Okay. Now, I am not going to get this off here nice and neat because my icing is too soft. but we'll try. Kind of went on there. Let's see. Can you see that a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, once you've got that on there, actually, I'm going to leave this. It's a tip 8 is on there right now. Okay. So I want to do sort of a calyx looking thing. And just kind of let that build up and then come down with a string. Okay. Now I gotta think on this a sec because I have not done these on the cake in, oh my gosh, so long. Alright, before I do them on the cake though, I would always pipe out basically whatever leaves, stems, whatever I want on there. Okay? So get your greenery down, your base as far as if you want any stem work. Alright? Put that down, then, alright, just I'm going to do a quick practice one before I show you guys. Okay. Sorry, like I said, really been a while. Okay. Can you see there now?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So, for these, you just want to do a little, kind of a C. Really all I did, I just kind of let it push out there on its own and then bring it back.
Hold on, do that again.
Okay. I'm just letting that build up and then bring it back on itself. Okay. And then you can go in there and just pipe out. Okay. And then I would go back in and just get a little bit of a calyx on there just to kind of cover up and neaten up the end there. All right. Now you can also, along this line, take, what do I do this with? All right, this is officially getting messy. That's okay. Okay, you can just go in there and just do some dots. On your greenery, okay? So that's a few different ideas. And then I'm just putting a leaf tip on here. So I would want to go in here around my bigger flower and just do some leaves in there. Okay, just to sort of bring that all together. All right. Where's my, can you grab the sheet cake? I'll show you a few things. Actually, I'll stay down most so you can see on the top here. So if I were doing an actual floral arrangement here, okay, I would have a couple different shades of green to start with, okay? I can't even tell you the huge difference this makes doing something like this versus putting on just 2 or 3, 3 flowers or something up here in the corner. If you do this full-blown arrangement,
While you're doing that, what tip was your calyx on the other cake?
The calyx, honestly, I just used the round tip I had on there. It was like a tip 8 or something. That was just a real speed, quick fill it in. Okay. You can use most anything. Okay, and here's where I was talking. I would have a couple different shades of greens. Okay, and this, if you ever have the chance to take a class, if she's still teaching anymore, I'm not even sure. Lucinda Larson, or no, it's not Larson, it's, oh my gosh. No. She's just always Lucinda Larson for me. She studied for years. She was out on West Coast, out in Washington, Oregon area, and studied with Roland Wimbeckler, and has come up, has her own flair too. She does absolutely amazing stuff, and this is where I got a lot of these ideas for the greenery and stuff from her years ago. Okay. If you ever have a chance to get any of her videos or books or anything, highly recommend. She does amazing work, but you can get all sorts of fun ideas. She actually pipes her flowers right on the cake. Okay, I have never done this before, but I know you absolutely can do this. Okay. You just have to essentially work your cake like you would a flower nail. All right. And all I'm doing is just some quick, this is the rose tip on there, and I'm just piping just some quick little scrollies on there.
Someone Google it for you. It's still Larson.
It is still Larson, okay. If you can get your hands on her videos, get them. They're awesome. Okay. But then, just get out. Okay. And that's just super quick and simple. I'm just trying to show you basically just some ideas that add some of that greenery, and do something different with some of your flowers and stuff instead of just doing a quick putting the one flower up there in the center. Now look at what you've got, and then just write happy birthday or happy Mother's Day or whatever, and you've got a whole scene there going on instead. Okay. And then for the sides on this, okay, this is just another of my cookie cutters. And I will tell you, this is probably what I did with 90% of my sheet cakes. Okay. Do that. And then typically I would go with white on here. Oops. Okay, and this is just a smaller of one of the rope. No, I really don't want that one. It's too small. Okay, this is tip 48, PME tip 48, okay? And this, again, this is still one of those, the rope with like the 20 plus little teeth going on there, okay? And we got an air pocket in there, just a second. Okay, got another, hopefully. Okay, and I'm literally just following those lines on there. I just want to show you how quick and simple this dresses up the side of the cake. Whoops. Get another air pocket in there. Go back and fill that in. Okay. And then I will go back in with my pink.
Is there a big difference between PME tips and Wilton tips?
Excuse me. There is a big difference in some of them, yes. The writer tips, which are like, well, your detail tips and stuff. If you're doing drop string work, if you ever get into detail work with like a 00, 000, tip 1, even a 1.5 and stuff, yes, I would say absolutely spend the money on your PME tips. They are typically, they run anywhere $5 to $7 a piece for the most part. I think most of ours are $5 a piece here. But they are stainless steel, they are seamless, you don't get the curling up around the edges of them. So it is definitely money well spent for detail work, okay? But then, like I showed, just very quickly go in here. Okay. And I'm going to the tip 18 with the white here. And I'll pipe it in the other direction so you can watch that. Okay. And again, just bear in mind I'm going the opposite direction I normally would, but it works fine. And then we've got a tip 4 on the green here. Oops. Take just a minute here. Gotta get used to this because this is literally backwards from the direction I normally go. Okay, but you can see this is just super, it's not what I would call advanced stuff by any means, and it's utilizing your tools, but look how nice that coordinates everything together, and it just draws it all in, okay? And even just putting that quick little dot of color, it only takes, you saw it just took me, 10-15 seconds to do one side of it. So it's going to take you an extra minute, but it's just it pulls your eye down and it just puts everything together for you. Okay? And then I want to show you another tip I do with the top sometimes. Okay, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of a reverse shell sort of ish thing. I don't know. I get going with it and I just like sit and do it. It's almost kind of like an S, or think if you were drawing a bunch of 8s but going sideways as you're drawing them. Okay, so I've got my tip facing right here at the, I'll get over here so you guys can see. So I'm just letting that build a little circle. And I'm just looping up. So I'm looping up and looping down and looping up and looping down as I'm going. Okay? So loop up, loop down, up and down. All right. That's just a little bit dressier if you aren't going to do anything on the sides. It puts a little something down low. Okay. Or you can absolutely just do.
That would be a reverse shell, Ma.
It would be a reverse shell. Okay. Okay, so there is just another type of a shell that I'm just almost kind of like a cursive E motion. All right. So once you get, a star, the star tip, and your 16, 18, 20, that type size, they're great. They have a lot of versatility. You can do a lot of different things with them. Oh, I know what someone said of they might have been talking, so you can build up here and then just come up. Okay. Now if I were going to do something like that, I would absolutely have to cap those off somehow. I can't just have them sitting there. Okay, so you could do something like that. If you did that from the top edge and came down, okay. Let's see if I can get my string to hold here. You could sit here and do some drop strings with them. Going from tip to tip. All right. I again probably would not be okay with that just sitting there like that. And I'd have to go cap those off somehow. Just putting little dots in there with the, okay. So, there we have, do we have any other requests real quick before we sign off? Hopefully you got some good ideas with your tips. Honestly, probably the biggest thing that if I can stress is just practice, 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 okay? There's so much you can do. Just practice. Have fun with it, okay? And we need to do our drawing. Mr. Eric, do you have a name today?
I do, in fact.
He does, in fact. Who is our winner today?
It is Belinda Cooley.
Belinda! Woo-woo! I know Belinda.
I want to make sure I'm pronouncing
She
it
is
correctly.
part of our Michigan Cookiers group. Hopefully she can use this. I don't even know if Belinda does cookies or does cakes too. I know she does cookies. She does awesome cookies. So congratulations, Belinda! Woohoo! Zip me your address in a message and I will get this off to you. Okay? And that is all we have for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will see you on Wednesday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.